How's it going, everyone? Eamon and Prince here from Best Dog. Today we're going to be looking at teaching our dog a middle position. You ready? You awake? Yeah. So we're going to teach our dog a middle position, which is basically where we teach our dog to come around, go through our legs, sit and look up at us. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the technique we're going to use predominantly for this in the beginning is a technique called luring. And if you don't know what that is, or you're having a bit of issues with it, there is a video in the description here of how to go about learning it. Essentially what we're doing is we're going to use some food to guide our dog and manipulate our dog into different positions. Okay guys, so a middle position is going to look something like this. What you're going to need for this is you're going to need some food. You're probably going to want to do this in a place where you can have your dog off lead because it's easier without the lead, because the lead can get tangled up. But you can still do it with a lead, but I'd recommend you do this in a place where there's no need for a lead in the moment. The food you probably want to have is something very, very tasty, really, really good treats. If you have a special treat, you found a really good treat that you think other people might benefit by knowing, please drop in the comments what that treat is, because we're always on the lookout for what is a good treat to get our dogs motivated. So with every kind of tutorial we do, we recommend that you get about 3 to 5 repetitions correct with your dog before you move on to the next stage. Okay, so then we're going to get to part 1.
We're going to teach the dog to follow some food in our hand. Our legs will be open, and when the dog's head comes around to the back of our calf, we're going to release the food. Notice the position of my hand when it touches my calf.
Okay, if you're successful there, you can now move out to part 2.
Bringing the dog through your legs. This time, instead of releasing the food at your calf, change the food into your other hand and then guide your dog through your legs. You need to change the food from the first hand that brings the dog around, and when their head stops at the back of your calf, like so, we switch the food into the other hand and then encourage the dog through our legs, stopping when their paws are just past your toes.
Okay, we're moving on to part 3, and we're going to add in that sit position.
In this section, we're going to add in the sit. This time, instead of releasing the food when the dog's 2 front paws reach your toes, slowly move the food over the dog's head. As the dog's head moves up, their body will form a sit position. Here we're going to encourage the dog to hold that position looking up at us by rewarding a few more times.
Part 4. Okay, so now we're going to be removing that food lure from the first hand.
In this section, we are removing the food from our first hand to see if our dog is starting to understand the visual cue we're giving. Notice how the dog still gets rewarded after he performs the behaviour. This is important because we want the dog to realise that the food is the consequence of the behaviour and not the cue for the behaviour.
Part 5, guys, we're going to add in that verbal cue now. The verbal cue, then move on the hands. It's going to be middle, then the hand movement. Okay, it has to come in that order. We always want our verbal cues to come at the very, very beginning before we do anything with our body. Remember, a dog's language is body language.
Adding in the verbal cue. Notice in this section how the word is said a split second before any visual cue is given. This is important as eventually we will want to fade out the visual cue altogether.
Part 6, we're adding some distance in.
Adding distance. In this section, we're adding some distance the dog has to travel to find the position. Notice how we're already fading out some of the hand cue.
Part 7, guys, we're going to start removing that hand cue.
Removing the hand cue. In this section, we've reduced the distance again, as we're not giving the dog that visual hand cue anymore.
Part 8, guys, we're going to start adding in some distraction. Now we're going to use our own bodies as the distraction for this section.
Adding distraction. In this section, we're changing the position of our body to add some distraction into the training pattern. Notice how the dog still has to find the position in between our legs. This should be a fun element and only progress to when you feel the dog can be successful.
Part 9, now we're going to add in some movement, guys. This is an optional section. You don't need to do this. It's not actually part of it, but I think it's a great little thing to add in. It's just your little bonus part we threw in for you. Now, ideally, what you're looking for here is every step in the beginning would be a reward. Step, reward, step, reward, step, reward, step, reward. Just to teach your dog to move with you. Because remember, before, we were teaching our dog to come through our legs and sit and look up at us. Now we're teaching them to kind of keep moving forward.
Adding movement. For this section, we're going to add some movement of our body and encourage the dog to walk with us. This is a fun element that we can add in later on. Make sure the first steps are all understood by the dog before adding this in. We can start off by rewarding every step. Eventually we can reward every second step, third step, fourth step, and finally only rewarding when we stop and the dog eventually sits again.
Okay, so kind of last section of this is just adding it into other behaviours that you're asking your dog to do. So in this section, we're going to show you Prince performing a middle position before he goes and retrieves a dumbbell for us. It's just an idea. You can do loads of different things. We like to play a game where we do middle and then we throw a frisbee and then we send Prince off to get it from the middle position. We just have fun with it. It's just a fun position.
Having fun and adding in different behaviours.
Okay guys, so with this tutorial and all our tutorials, what you'll be looking for is take each step at a time. Ideally would be 3 to 5 repetitions that your dog is successful before you move on to the next stage. And spend a few days, if even a week, even 2 weeks, going through all the different parts. We're not expecting you to get this finished in one day. And ideally what I'm kind of looking for is about 2 or 3 minutes maximum of you working on a behavior with your dog in a session. If you do that 2 or 3 times a day, within a week or so, you'll have the behaviours really, really well established. Doing it all in one go is never really a great idea. You don't want to get your dog getting bored. Keep your training sessions really, really short, a little bit of fun, and stop before your dog's had enough. You always want to be the one stopping the session before your dog's ready to finish. That means next time you come back, your dog is kind of eager to start again. Dog's attention span is a lot shorter than ours anyway. So just be aware of that too. Thanks for listening, guys. We really hope you liked this video. If you did, we'd really, really appreciate it if you could subscribe to our channel right now. You'll find the subscribe button just below this video. It does help us a lot, so we really appreciate that. Now over to you guys. If there's a behavior you'd like us to teach you or work on or do a tutorial for, please let us know in the comment section below and we'll see about trying to arrange doing one for that behavior.